So I've cut the old gate we didn't need, cut some sections out of that to help me extend this. Now I'm going to whiz the top off of this, weld up some extensions on it, weld it back together. Still fence posting, it's a hot day. We made it a little bit bigger, just under 2 meters. Now we're going to paint strip it and then paint it black and then put sheet metal over it. She's going crazy. Losing her mind up here. She's nearly finished. Last bit. Last bit. Nice. So if the paint's good and there's no rust there, we're leaving those patches. There's not been many of those patches, and if it's all rusty, Carolina's taking it back and repainting it, just because this epoxy paint's really good and there's no need to go over what doesn't need doing. Unfortunately, that's not a lot. Minutes I've been chopping this bad boy out. This is the first hole of the day. I'm exhausted. So to get the straight line of fencing up here that we require, as long as the outside of our post is touching the string here and the post sits on the inside here, we know that we're going to have a straight line from point to point. So the other post is like this. Again, on the outside, I pull the string really tight, render the slack up with my right hand, pulling that all up, and then I just tuck the loose bit under there, and where that's pulled really tight, it holds the loose end, and this string just comes down and the rest of it's sat there because I don't want to cut the string, I want to keep it whole. Weather's not been great lately. We've been stuck in the clouds. Kind of looks pretty cool, to be fair. It's like Rainforest Vibes. Sometimes they just roll straight through the forest and you can barely see anything. Hey, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my piece of cardboard. And in episode 1, I had a big piece of cardboard with a layout of the land. And this is a bit more of a refined version of that plan. We've made lots of plans over the past few years. Now we're getting more accurate. Recently, we've been able to get a big tape measure and take more precise measurements of the buildings in which we plan to build. And so when we first come onto land, there was a lot of areas that were taken up by bushes or trees that we just couldn't access. And therefore, the scale of those buildings has changed slightly because we couldn't push things up into the corner or maximize the space that we had to see what we could build. Plus, over the 7 months of being here, you know, your feelings constantly change, and I'm sure they might evolve again into the size of buildings and the workload that brings on. It's very dreamy to be like, I want this size building, and then when you start looking at prices of roofing materials, the work, the foundations, everything that's going to go into that building, it helps you come in touch with reality and what is possible and what that building actually requires. And so the flow of the site has changed, not really in terms of layout, but in terms of scale of some things. And so I just wanted to show you a little bit about my piece of cardboard and show you where we're at and how important things like the flow of the site is. So most of the time when you're out here, we're moving stuff. Currently we're moving lots of trees, we're moving lots of firewood, but in the future we could be moving soil, we could be moving sand, stones, timber frames, fuel, we could be moving sugarcane mulch or grains for the mushrooms, we could be moving bundles of trees or processing the food and moving boxes of avocado or arasash or mulberries or whatever it may be. Constantly on the farm we are moving something from A to B. And so a way how we can save lots of time and make good workflow on site is by creating good access and good movement around the land. And in permaculture they teach something about zoning. So zone zero is your place where you are every single day, i.e. your house. What would be good in your house is you cook in the kitchen, And what would be really nice is they call a kitchen garden, so you can step outside the door into a herb garden or culinary items that you cook with on the day-to-day to have right outside your doorstep. So this is an example of efficient zoning. And so if every day you have to go and collect eggs from the chickens, it's no good if the chickens are half a mile away. It's something that you need to go and do every single day, and so you need it in a close proximity to you. And so we haven't got a massive piece of land, and so our zoning can look a wee tad congested. So let me just show you. Up here on the top of the land, this is one of the main entrances coming in. So we're surrounded by roads, okay? And we're utilizing these roads to help us get around. And so coming in off this main exit, this is the highest point of our land up here. So the container is here, just for reference. This is coming off the north side. So we've got a road here, and this leads down to another main entrance. This is going to be the driveway to the back of our house, and this is going to be the goods entrance. So over the years we're going to have lots and lots of deliveries of clay, straw bales, stones, etc., and we need a place for all of that to sit while we use it. And so we're going to do 3 entrances, one for goods, one for our vehicles and for us. And this top gate is almost like a walk-in gate. It's actually 4 meters, so we can still get cars down here and lorries if we need to dump off goods for the mushroom business. And so this whole plan is about being able to come out, hit the road, come down the road, come in the main entrances, drop off whatever you need to. This is our main goods entrance, and we're going to drop all the materials off down here. And so we're putting a 4 meter gate in here so that we can get big vehicles in here to drop off sand, blocks, cement, rocks, clay, whatever we need. Just up here is going to be our second 4 meter entrance into the land, and this is going to be our main driveway going down to our house. We don't want to mix the two, and we want them separate for obvious reasons. But by doing this, we can come out here when we get a dumper, we can join this road, go to the top of the land, and our third entry point is going to be up there by the container, and that's going to come in. So if we need to move any materials from the middle of the land and bring it through the top, we can come through a gate down there and move it wherever we need to. We're going to create access paths around the land, and we're going to stick to them. So we've been fencing the top, we run the string line so we can get all of these nice and straight. This is going to be one of our gate posts. We've got another gate post coming in here, big 4 meter gate so that we can get a vehicle down this ramp. So we've got all the bottom part of the land fence post too, going all the way down into the agroforestry, where we will be doing the agroforestry. So it comes all the way down to our border, just post after post. Say if we're just doing a big harvest of the agroforestry, we can come in here, we can load up everything, we can move it up to the processing area, and we can process what that looks like. We can drive up and out, we can walk all the way around. So this is our house, this is our vegetable garden, this is our greenhouse. Right outside our place, you know, toilet right here in the middle of the processing area, the guest housing, our gardens, the containers here, one of our businesses is here. So it's real close proximity, and this flow is very important to us. This is a workshop here, so one of the first buildings we're going to build is a workshop, because that's going to help us build everything else. And so by having good flow, I can drive in here and drop goods off to my workshop. We can pick up timbers, we could drive them up the road and come down and drop them wherever we need to be. And so having good flow around the site is very, very important. It's going to save a lot of time and energy. At the minute we don't have vehicle access, we don't even have machinery, and so we're spending a lot of days moving material. We're currently working on trying to find a dumper, something that can enable us to get around. So this is my little bit of cardboard, and the plans change and we have to adapt to that. But the plans that we set out are very, very similar. And when I done my first permaculture design course in Thailand in 2017, one of the parts of the course, we had to design a piece of land for us and what we liked. We had to put down our core values, what we wanted to grow, and at the time it kind of all felt a bit gimmicky, a bit of a joke. However, over the years, using the knowledge I learned from the course and understanding that this is something that I am going to do, I had to expand on that skill of laying out plans. And so I would go onto Google Maps and I would find a piece of land, I would contour map that land, and then I would lay out a design on a completely unknown piece of land. And I did that quite a lot over the years to really sort of learn how to lay out. And there's quite a few different techniques that they use in the design of a permaculture property. Scale of permanence, utilizing the highest point of your land to collect water, and the way the sun moves through your land. And so there's certain elements to the design principles that help you lay out your land, especially zoning. Zoning's very important, and here at the top of the land we want everything to be in close proximity to give us a good thing. And so, you know, immediately that sets a precedent for me that I need my buildings up here. I need to collect water there. The sun moves from here and across there, so how can I capture that as much as I possibly can in my buildings, in thermal mass, so I don't have to have heating, in my gardens, in my agroforestry project. So down the bottom of the land, right down this hill, it's backed up against a bunch of forestry, and so the light's going to be lower. And so I think, okay, well, let's plant things like chestnuts, walnuts, apples, pears, opposed to something like avocados, arasash, something that requires more light. You know, if I'm to plant a guava, I want it to be higher up my property so that it gets more sunlight, opposed to something that will grow in a temperate climate. And understanding these principles helps you lay out your land. You can almost, it's like a DNA. You can almost take that and print it over another piece of land, and you don't get the same looking farm, but you get a very similar flow of farm. And so one of my absolute heroes, Richard Perkins, I've learnt so much from this chap, and I have never met him, but I love him to bits. And he taught me so much through the art of YouTube and his books. And so this is my duty. I know it's a lot of talking, some of these things, but I don't want to create a 30-40 minute video of you watching me turn a big log into a small log or what have you. I'm on here to share the knowledge that I have learned and accumulated over all of these years, and I wish to share that and expand that with myself and with other people that are wanting to get into this world. Halfway through, I see the back crack out, like as if it wanted to split, and I thought, yeah, fuck that, I'm out of there. Nearly 2.5 meters
Oh, yeah?
circumference. Yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
2 meters is there. 2 meters 35. And 700 millimeters. Yeah, about 700 millimeters. Can't get my arms around it. Wow. Round it up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be difficult.
Yeah, it will be difficult, but it's probably safer. I'm gonna try thread it. Squeaky bum hole. Not gonna lie. Don't know why, because I've been up this ladder multiple times. The ladder's not getting bigger, so it's just the tree that's bigger. Right, we're gonna shoot this straight through those trees. Time for a cup of tea! And so me and Carolina, we've been laying out lots of measurements and we've been laying out lots of plans, and this has transferred into me drawing scale drawings of some of the buildings. We are planning our meetings with the architects and we have to find out some of our next steps, like the building regulations, acquiring permits. So we had a chap come round the other day to speak about permits and the legalisation of some buildings. What's our minimum square meterage we can build without permits? We need to go and find out, there's something here called a PDRM or a PDM, and it essentially gives you the square meterage of total area you can build on your land. And so we need to redefine our context into these legal side of things. And so I need to understand what the foundation requirements and legal permissions are over here, because in the UK that can differ whether it's a non-permanent structure or a permanent structure. For example, we've got the container here on a non-permanent structure, needs no legal permit to put, you don't need any legal permit to put a container in your land. But as soon as I start building something with weight, size and like structural engineering elements, that weight needs to transfer properly down into the foundations. Now what the foundations look like, I can only guess at the minute, because I have drawn out stone foundations and I've drawn out concrete foundations on top of my building, and I need to go to an architect and we need to find out what's the minimum depth a minimum size that I can put on, and often that will also have a relation into the size of the building and the weight of the building coming down onto it. But I need to know that here because I don't know it. In the UK I know it, here I don't. And so we need to set up these meetings in order for us to gain the legal permits for us to go through with building these buildings. And so before, up until now, we haven't been able to get accurate scale sizes of the buildings because we've been blocked by bushes and trees and so on. But now we've been running tape measures out, we've been rescaling our drawings, redefining our context. For example, we was going to have 2 guest houses to run courses and have tourism over here. Now we've squeezed that down to 1. Here we just want 1 for friends and family and anybody that wants to come and learn from us over here, and our parameters changed. Anyway, we are very excited and I'm very proud to be at this step, and it's really nice to spend some time doing context like this, because this is what I've been sort of learning for years and years, to put my knowledge into this side of things, of the design and the implementation of a permaculture project. And kind of we've been on here for 7 months, just been chopping trees, and all of a sudden I felt very away from that. So it's nice to be at a stage now where we're getting fenced. Carolina's nearly finished the top of the roof, which means I can cut some timber furrings for the roof so that we can get a pitch on the roof. We can get some sheeting on there, some solar panels, some water collection going on. And yeah, things are starting to evolve quite quickly. The space has opened up really nicely, and it's been just an absolute joy to be able to pull that tape measure out and visually see our layout go from cardboard to land. Exciting moment for me over here. I've just popped on the 700mm bar, and that's going to help me rip through these bad boys a lot easier. And we have also got ourselves an Alaskan mill. I've bought 4 ripping chains from the UK and the bars from Vivor. I'm going to set that up and start milling down some of these big logs into usable timber. So I want to reiterate about these big ones. We're keeping some of it. Like, this is a section that I'm going to turn into slabs for tables, flooring, steps, things that it can be rough and ready. So outside timber. Better to be safe than to be sorry, better to take our time to get it right than to rush it and go wrong. Good job. High fucking five. Whoopsh. Look at the view of the mountain in the back. Fuck yeah. Open that right up. Kiwi vine's got lots of flowers on it, so hopefully they pollinate and we can get lots of kiwis this year.